Back. Fox News, FAWKS News, after yesterday's breaking special, the big breakdown, kind of the timeline of why we're involved in the Russia-Ukraine controversy, how it all started. It seems to be kicking off quite well, getting a lot of messages of that, but a lot more positive than I thought. If you remember yesterday's episode, I started off by saying I was expecting to take some heat, but I felt like now was the right time to be able to talk about it without being considered a Russian sympathizer. And I was right, because a lot of the messages you guys are sending me back on that episode, you actually agree with me. I don't know if that would have been the case 3 or 4 years ago, but I don't think any of us were really talking about it. It's kind of like those early days of COVID where it's like you weren't sure if COVID was real or not real, or if it was like this big government blow up type deal, if it was the flu or not the flu. But we all just kind of kept quiet about it. That's how talking about Russia has been up until this point. It feels good that people are actually starting to acknowledge that, maybe Russia isn't the overarching nemesis that we have been led to believe that they are, and that maybe our meddling, and this isn't anti-patriotic to say, but maybe our meddling in foreign affairs has got us into quite the predicament. And I wouldn't say it's us as in the U.S. I mean, the global elites, the globalists have gotten us into a position. The UN, UK, United States, and so forth. So anyway, I'm glad you guys are enjoying that episode yesterday. It was quite the episode to put out. It wasn't as easy as maybe I made it seem, but anyway, I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. Today's show, though, we were talking about the internet versus Casey Anthony. Not sure what Casey Anthony was thinking. Actually, I know exactly what she was thinking, because we do the same thing here on FAWKES News. I'm going to show you what we do, or what I do, and the similarities in what Casey Anthony did and what her real intent and her real motives are. Kind of looking beyond the glass here, because she makes it out to think that she's advocating for LGBTQ, but really what she's doing is advertising. And I'm going to tell you what she's advertising for, and I'm going to expose. And listen, nobody's talking about this. You cannot find one even independent media source that's talking about what I'm going to talk about with you today in regards to the Casey Anthony internet controversy here. And I think this is an interesting outlook, an interesting perspective on that case. Today's show is brought to you by ghostbed.com. Sleep so good, it's scary. Head over to ghostbed.com right now. Limited time only, folks, because listen, they are redoing their entire marketing campaign starting in May. And that 40 to 50% is not coming back. I don't know if it'll ever come back, but it's definitely going away. And a new campaign is rolling out. So to really work on that deal, these are beds made in the good old USA. You really want to get on top of that deal right now. Site-wide deal, 40 to 50% off. I love Ghost Bed. You know that I rage about them all the time. These are pillows that will last you forever. They're heavy-duty pillows. The cooling technology, the massage topper, all of the things. Head over to ghostbed.com/wolfpack today, or you're going to lose it. You're going to miss that chance. Some of you guys have been listening to this like for 4 years, and you keep saying, one day I'm going to get a Ghost Bed. Now's the time. Put up or shut up, because you're going to lose the opportunity to get one of the best deals on the internet for beds. Ghostbed.com/Wolfpack. Also, we've got Shieldbox, promo code Wolfpack. It's a monthly subscription. It comes every month. That's what monthly subscription means. But inside this box, every single month, you're going to get over $100 worth of gear, and you're only going to pay $55 a month, but you're going to get handcuffs, handcuff pouches, new handcuff keys. You're going to get rip hobbles, spit hoods, breaching tools, sunglasses, knives, all the things law enforcement or any kind of personal security needs to upgrade and update their gear. You can get that in one monthly subscription from Shieldbox. You test out a whole bunch of new stuff, see what you like, see what you don't like. Don't have to really worry about it, but it's a very, very fun subscription. Again, one of those gifts that keep on giving and giving. And it's not the kind of gift that you need universal healthcare precautions for. So thank you so much, Shieldbox. All right. Well, today we're going to jump into it. I've got Jason Kiefer with me today from One More and I'm Out of Here podcast. And I've also got Deadleg from Deadleg Media in here. Josh and Jason, how are you guys this morning?
What's up, man?
It's going to be a good show today. You guys all know how I feel about Casey Anthony, and you guys all know how I feel about suicide.
Exactly.
Everything that you thought that I thought about suicide, you can just question that when I'm talking about Casey Anthony. I'm just saying, I'm not going to say what my stance is, but if you know my stance on suicides, then maybe we don't affiliate my general stance on suicide with Casey Anthony. I used to have Casey Anthony's picture right behind me for many years podcasting. She's still in here. She's just on my other side of the studio over there. But Casey Anthony is back in the news again. This narcissistic bitch can't stay out of the media. And then she's still lying about her intents. Her intentions are a lie. And she has been known to be by many, many people as a pathological liar, right? A lot of people believe that she just can't tell the truth to save her life. I honestly believe that she killed her daughter. The judge in this case believes that she killed her daughter. For those of you who don't know who Casey Anthony is, Casey Anthony was the mother of Kaylee Anthony. We've done a whole Failure to Stop. If you go over to the Failure to Stop podcast, type in Casey Anthony. We did a big, massive show on the Casey Anthony case. It's a case that I'm very passionate about, which is why I've always had that picture of Casey Anthony very close by me because of my dire hatred for Casey Anthony. I also like to take a moment, guys, to mention that we are starting with Cameron Santana, author of the book, A Murder on Campus. He is an investigator and a detective. We are launching a campaign called Free Holtzclaw. Now, I like to use the Casey Anthony to show you how juries absolutely get it wrong. We all know, and this is the beautiful thing about this whole Casey Anthony live TikTok, is it's really, really apparent that it doesn't matter if you're LGBTQ. It doesn't matter if you're a Trump hater or not. We all equally hate Casey Anthony the same. That's what's amazing. But we can all agree for once. I mean, it's like Anne Frank, right? We all agree that Anne Frank was a beautiful, wonderful human being, a soul, and we all cherish that diary. But we can all equally hate Casey Anthony. And that's all. So we can all admit that the jury got that wrong. We can all, there's no argument. Black, white, Hispanic, Trump haters, LGBTQ, Baptists, whatever, it doesn't matter. We all equally hate Casey Anthony, and we all agree that the jury got it wrong. So it happens. And I think that that's what happens in the Holtzclaw case. And so I like that tie here is that juries can absolutely get it wrong. And in the Holtzclaw case, the jury absolutely got it wrong. And so we are starting this campaign with Failure to Stop and Cameron Santana. That is a free Holtzclaw, free Holtzclaw campaign. So there's going to be a Free Holtzclaw podcast. There's going to be free Holtzclaw social media. And we're going to be doing a lot of things on Failure to Stop. Yes, hashtag Free Holtzclaw. A lot of things to get this in the public eye. I have done hundreds and hundreds of hours. There is not one shred of evidence that shows me that Holtzclaw is guilty. However, there is so much evidence that shows that Casey Anthony was guilty of murdering her daughter, whether that be first degree or second degree or manslaughter. You know, that was one of the things about the case too, the guys, is the Casey Anthony case is why did the defense never bring in second degree murder or manslaughter? I think that they thought that there was no way that a jury could be bamboozled or retarded so far that they would not find her guilty of the first degree murder, and it came back to bit him in the ass. And I think that that the state learned from that mistake is that you can't give a jury an ultimatum. Like, it's first degree or nothing. They had the opportunity to give them, hey, if she's not guilty of first degree, is she guilty of second degree? Is she degree of manslaughter? They could have given options. Instead, they gave an ultimatum. And first degree is a very, very hard thing to get.
It's premeditated.
Exactly. And I think you're absolutely right. I think the state thought it was going to be a slam dunk, and obviously it was not. But you have to leave your options open. But I mean, we all know that she was, guilty as all get out, but obviously that's not the way it went.
Yeah, and so I'll actually even show you some receipts on this, but here we go. Let me play the judge for you really fast.
I think more emphasis should have been placed on Casey Anthony's.
So this is the judge from Casey Anthony's case. This is probably, I don't know, 6 years afterwards. And this is him talking to Morgan & Morgan, which I don't know if on the East Coast, Morgan & Morgan's a big lawyer firm that plays commercials all the time. But this is Morgan & Morgan asking Judge Perry what he thought about the case. And this is kind of what I brought up. And I had brought this up in the Failure to Stop podcast episode a couple of years ago.
Actions the day that the child went missing, the day that the child allegedly died. Another thing that should have occurred was the state should have explained in their closing arguments that if you did not believe that the state had proved the charge of murder in the first degree, that Ms. Anthony was guilty of second-degree murder and or manslaughter. By not making those arguments, the state basically gave the jury a take it or leave it ultimatum. Either take first-degree murder or don't do anything else.
So even the judge kind of like put that out there early on. And then I also want to play one more clip of the judge and what his theory is. Now, this was a few years after this thing with Morgan & Morgan. Here is the judge. I'm going to tie this all back together because I want to be important that I'm not being vicious or mean to Casey Anthony. I want you to understand why I have such a vile and deep hatred for Casey Anthony. I'm extremely anti-Casey Anthony. I think she's one of the worst people on the freaking planet. And I want you to know why, because there is in no way, shape, or form that this woman, I don't even want to call her a woman, this bitch is innocent at all. She is, her family is disgusting. Her father is despicable. Her mother, she has her gene pool, like her bloodline. I cannot wait for her bloodline to just be done with, like just be over, be ending of the bloodline, because it is so tainted and disgusting. But here is the theory, and I want to let you know why I feel that way. So here is the judge's theory years after on what he thinks happened.
But I think this was a lesson in.
Nope, that is not the right clip, was it? It wasn't the right clip. Let me bring it up. Let me take away this one because I don't want to overload the studio here. Let me jump over to this for you.
That's the most logical thing that happened was that she tried to knock her daughter out by the use of chloroform and gave her too much chloroform, which caused her daughter to die. Chloroform was used as anesthesia back in the day before there was real anesthesia to render someone unconscious. I don't think she ever anticipated the result. The only person that actually knows what happened is Casey Anthony.
Well, that judge says that the computer searches for chloroform and the volume of that chemical that was found in Casey Anthony's trunk convinced him of what he just told you, though he does admit that all of this is just a theory.
So, and that's kind of where I took it back when I did the true crime episode on Failure to Stop about Casey Anthony, was that how can you not have the evidence of her looking up chloroform specifically on her computer, and then a short period of time afterwards she's found dead, and the one thing that you find remnants of her decaying, rotting body is chloroform, the smell of her dead body, and the remnants of duct tape found on top. I mean, that is absolutely disgusting. Now the mother, who's just if I recall correctly, and I don't want to misspeak, so I might be wrong on this, but I believe that the mother took the hit on the chloroform thing, and she was looking up how to make chlorine for the pool or something like that. But if you remember back in the case, the dad was caught banging a woman inside the search and rescue command post, a married Hispanic woman that he was going to meet and that he met on the search and rescue that he was banging. Was part of this search effort. So it's like your granddaughter is missing and dead, and you're trying to cheat on your wife. I mean, like the whole family. By the way, also Casey Anthony never even graduated high school, but her parents threw her a graduation celebration and had pictures of her in a cap and gown, and they garnered a lot of money and gifts. Like when you graduate, right? Like you get $1,000 check from auntie, you get a $50 check from the neighbor Sue and the church folks, and all. And so Casey Anthony was able to get all these checks and get all these rewards, and she did not graduate. She had not yet even had her GED, and her parents kind of like played this whole thing off as if she really did graduate. So her parents were just obsessive. They were just obsessed with lying. They couldn't stop lying. None of the family members were telling the truth, and it resulted in Caylee Anthony dying, unfortunately, And then we've had this year spans of Casey Anthony coming out with like, woe is me. And she's always trying to pop up in the media some way or another. And so now I'm going to show you what's led us up to this point where Casey Anthony has gone viral on TikTok, and she has once again sold everybody a huge lie. And I'm going to pick through this lie. And I know that you guys are going to be able to relate to this, but I'm going to play this in its totality because everybody, for whatever reason, is picking it apart and only playing the highlights. The whole freaking thing is a highlight. And it's important that it be broken down because nobody has broken this down yet. Nobody has put this out there yet. And I want to get this out there. Let me play it and then we're going to talk about it. Here we go.
Today is Saturday, March 1st, 2025. This is my first of probably many recordings on a series that I'm starting. I am a legal advocate. I am a researcher. I've been in the legal field since 2011. And in this capacity, I feel that it's necessary, if I'm going to continue to operate appropriately as a legal advocate, that I start to advocate for myself and also advocate for my daughter. For those of you who don't know, my name is Casey Anthony. My daughter is Kaylee Anthony. My parents are George and Cindy Anthony. This is not about them. This is not in response to anything that they have said or done. That's not to say that I'm not going to respond at some point to some of the things that they have said and done. The whole point of this is for me to begin to reintroduce myself. I'm doing this both personally for me, but in a professional capacity. Moving forward, the majority of what you will see will be me speaking in a professional capacity. My goal is to continue to help give a voice to people, to give people tools and resources that they can utilize so they actually know where they can turn to. So with that, please join me on Substack. If you have questions, I will set up an email address where we can correspond directly. Up until this point, that has never happened. And it's only going to be on a limited basis regarding legal issues, legal matters. One of the main reasons that I'm doing this, there are people close to me who have been targeted and attacked recently. There are also people close to me who have had some recent things occur. And when necessary, people needed to step up, myself included. So as a proponent for the LGBTQ community, for our legal community, women's rights, I feel that it's important that I use this platform that was thrust upon me and now look at as a blessing as opposed to the curse that it has been since 2008. With that, these aren't going to be perfect. They're not going to be edited. Most of the time, they're not going to be short. But I am proverbially standing in the light, embracing this piece, still going to keep my privacy intact. So you will get very comfortable with my car. And I will explain in great detail why it's so important for people to protect their privacy. It's not just important to public figures, it's even more important to private individuals. And with the current climate in our country especially, it's that much more important, which is why I am utilizing the Substack platform. Yes, I am advertising this and publishing this on TikTok, possibly also through other meta platforms, but my intention is to separate from that and showcase even more why Substack is such an important resource for people to utilize moving forward. Anyway, I appreciate your time. And
Dude, how is nobody talking about this? Okay, so let me break this down for you guys really quickly. Okay, so this whole thing was an advertisement. The whole thing was a planned out advertisement. Let me show you how I know how. So because I do this, right? It takes one to know one. I do this every single day of my life. I try to do it. And here's the thing. So I actually connect with my fans. Anybody knows that I talk to my fans all the time. I email you, I DM you. We do have a Patreon. Now listen to me. That this is how I know because right, our Patreon, it's the thing that you're supposed to do. So anybody that's in the influencer field, anybody that's in the podcast field, we have bullet points or classes on learning how to grow your audience. Now, I'm just like in church or in other things, I've always questioned what the theologies are. I always question what the tactics are. Why are we doing this? Because there's reasons like when you touch the back of a car as a cop. Why? Well, you know what? I always said, why are we touching the back? Oh, to put your fingerprints on there. why do I need to put my fingerprints on the back of a car? Oh, in case the car takes off. And I'm like, oh, okay. So now you're gonna, it's like dumb. Like it's on video camera. Like I've already walked up. Like you've already got on the radio and you've called out the traffic stop. Like there's 1,000 reasons. Like putting your fingerprints on a car is dumb, and now they no longer do it, right? So we always question things like wearing a mask while walking into a restaurant and then taking it off when you sit down. It makes no sense. It's stupid. It's all for theatrics. Okay, so. In this thing, it's like you got to create a Patreon, you got to create a Discord to get closer to your fans, but it's all for bullshit. Like nobody really wants to do it. And so I felt bad. And that's why I never really kept up with it or really pushed it. I dabbled with it because I was supposed to do it, but I didn't. I kind of backed off very quickly because I'm like, it's so fake and phony. Now I actually live my fandom. Like I know that our engagement rate is like somewhere between like 75 and 83% engagement rate
ridiculous.
on such a small, it's so ridiculous. And we sell so many ghost beds. That's why they've been with us for 4 years, because I actually have a relationship and I don't have to lead you on to fancy games and gimmicks. And I realize that trying to sell you on something is kind of stupid and it's disingenuous. And here's Casey Anthony being the perfect narcissistic liar to convince you that this whole thing is something that it's not. What she's trying to do is get you to subscribe to her Substack, which costs money. Substack, this is from the website. When readers pay writers and creators directly, they can focus on doing the work they care about the most. A few hundred paid subscribers can support a livelihood. A few thousand makes it lucrative. So if she can convince you, the woe is me, and that you're going to get some kind of crazy value for following her shit, then she's got 700 followers, I think you said, Josh.
That's what it was put out. So here's where I get it, because if you want me to give you an ad here for Casey Anthony, she got away with it. She said she's been in the league. She's been in a legal field. She's been in the legal field since 2011. And I want to correct the record there. She's been a defendant in the legal field since 2011. Big difference.
Well played,
sweetheart.
Well played. So
big difference.
I do want to say though, is if you watch that thing again, and I'm going to show you the receipts right here. So I just made this ad yesterday, guys. Everything she did right there, she made you think that she's in her car and that she just randomly came up with all this information. I promise you, I will bet my next paycheck that if you looked at her phone history, she did no less than 25 takes in the car. There was lights. Her lights were perfect. Let me show you how I know this, because I just literally did this yesterday. Here we go.
Bring your search history
up. I'm showing you my phone. Do you see those? Those are the ones I kept. So sorry for those are the Arlen. Those are the ones I kept. Now watch. Like, here we go. You play that for a few seconds. I stopped because the lights weren't right. Okay. Here's another one. Let me turn the volume up here. Oh, hang on. I got to work my phone here, but I wasn't. All right, hold up. Let's go to the next one here. This is me trying to get the lights right. All right, here we go. Hey guys, what's up? I'm Eric from the Failure to Stop podcast and the author of Pig Latin, a seriously funny true story. Today, I am talking about Shieldbox. Right? So didn't like it because the lights were. I go on and on. I mean, look how many. Those are just the ones I kept. I deleted probably another 50 videos. But
look at you advertising, though. Look at you advertising. That was clever.
I know. At the end, like, I think the one that I kept, and I'll give you guys a sneak peek. This is the one I believe I kept right here. Oh,
Hello
there. My name is Eric Tanzi, host of the Failure to Stop podcast and author of Pig Latin, a seriously funny true story. Today, I want to talk to you guys about something a little bit more serious. I want to talk to you about the gift that keeps on giving and giving. Now, I'm not talking about a gift you need universal health care precautions for. I'm talking about a gift that's going to help you upgrade and update your gear. Shieldbox. Shieldbox is a monthly subscription that comes in the mail every single month. That's literally what monthly subscription means. Every month you're going to. But you get what I'm saying, right? Like, right. So now while I'm doing that, you're like, wow, Eric, that was great. It was 100% memorized. It was scripted. I had to memorize a script. I have bullet points. This isn't the bullet points, but this is an example of the bullet points, well, that I've doodled over. But I put little things that, yeah, like you got, that help you remind it. Now, if you look on her video, she looks off to the left after every pause, and her pauses are rhythmic. So they're very rhythmic, and she hits all the points. She's like, I was in the court system as a defense attorney for since 2011. My family. It's like she has these bullet out and she has it memorized. The lighting is perfect. She hits LGBTQ, anti-Trump. She hits all the things only to draw it all back into making you think that this is some kind of unscripted, unedited. Yes, it's unedited and but it is not unscripted. And her lighting was done like that. Wasn't her just, she didn't just drive around to get the perfect lighting coming through. There is a light outside that window. There's probably a ring camera light somewhere, but those lights, you see, there's no shadows cast around the face. That doesn't happen, folks. Matter of fact, I did a reel yesterday just to show you, just to prove it to you. I like to show you guys the receipts, and this is fun. Here's me doing one. Look at all the shadows.
Jiu-jitsu, and the one thing that I love the most about shield bags.
Look at all the shadow.
How crappy of a day I had getting my butt handed to me at jiu-jitsu.
You see,
and you have a background.
So
You
then
have,
I tried
like,
again.
Other stuff in the background. You actually
Yeah.
have trees or other cars or buildings
Bro,
and
I
things.
just finished jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, so look how many takes that took. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I never even used it because it was garbage, right? So it was because the lighting was too bad. The lighting was too bad. So this whole thing, she's trying to convince you that to go and join her Substack. Now, when we talk about our Patreon in the past, we were doing the same thing because we were told that's what you have to do. I ended up just kind of blowing past it because I felt bad. I'm like, dude, I don't want my subscribers to go pay for bullshit content that I'm just trying to come up with. And now it's organically fallen into this. You guys have been begging me about parenting shit, about my wife's stuff. Every time my wife comes on, we ended up starting this YouTube channel called Be Feral. And so there are still paid members on our Patreon, and I feel absolutely god awful that people are still paying to be on our Patreon. They're not really getting anything that much extra. So I'm like, dude, that's it. We're going to put more extra shit on there, but I want it to be really good. So lined up for you guys next week. I have, and again, I'll be straight up transparent with you that I am advertising for our Patreon at the moment. But Ali McLean, the MMA fighter, he's hilarious. He's got a huge social media following. But he's the one that says it only takes one man to hold you down and two to rape you. But he always like says like the craziest shit in training as a training coach. But he's an MMA champion. He's a jiu-jitsu black belt coach. Anyway, I've got him coming on the Patreon to help me break down a couple of police cases for failure to stop. And some extra content there for failure to stop. But then also tonight, we'll be dropping an episode of me and my wife, telling you guys, the fans, all about me and my wife and how we raise our 5 kids. And then maybe coming on Patreon more often to explain to you guys or, to answer all your questions about homeschooling, unschooling, how to be in a healthy relationship. But anyway, that I'm be very transparent when I tell you that that's what I'm advertising for. But Casey Anthony, again, being the narcissistic lying bitch that she is, she has to come up with this big, giant wazoo thing that she's trying to help out the LGBTQ plus community. And I believe that this backfired. Josh, what were the responses on the internet yesterday in regards to Casey Anthony coming out with this bullshit ad?
When she was going down her list of things of like the LGBTQ and all this, she made sure that in her video, she didn't dog on Trump, but one of somebody that's close with her came out and dogged on Trump. She did everything but climate change. So she's okay.
Isn't real.
She's okay with killing her daughter and cutting down trees. But everybody has said the same thing. Casey Anthony being on TikTok was on my 2025 bingo card. The amount of followers she has makes me physically sick. We need to shame Casey Anthony right back into obscurity. There will never be enough time passed to erase what she did. Who let Casey Anthony on TikTok? Screw that baby killer. If there is ever nobody cares what you think ranking system, she probably is somewhere near the top. How in the world could she have thought this was a good idea? Someone chimed in. Fuck Casey Anthony. You will never come back from murdering your own daughter. Not only did you take the precious life of your bold-faced, laughed lie and tell the cops about it, it's actually here for the recap of what this heinous bitch did. And then they have a link to YouTube, link to the video of a recap of the case. Seeing Casey Anthony during the morning doom scroll was not my 25 bingo card. My reaction to OJ Simpson dying is the same as if you told me Casey Anthony died. I hate you, but take this bitch down. So even on Nancy Grace, she put out a thing. So even people that don't like Nancy Grace came to Nancy Grace to throw hate at Nancy Grace, but still say, I also don't like her. We hate that murderer, Don't tease me about this. This is why I became a fan of Nancy Grace. I would say this next one, I would say it's my favorite, but this is why. I'm posting this picture so that when searches for this narcissistic name come up, she will have to see this face and know what she did and know that what she did. And we know that what she did, she would have been 20 this August. And it's a picture of her daughter.
Holy shit.
And that's like from some blue-haired chick named Lulu. So that's what I love. It's like all the people that you never
Everybody.
thought you would rally with, all in solidarity. We all raise our fists to fucking hating Casey Anthony. And that makes me so happy because I've hated that bitch forever. I mean, like, dude, I have her picture in my office so that every time I walk in, I can just not forget about Kaylee Anthony. I'm one of those guys. I promise to never forget. I'll show you guys.
I had this thought, and as I thought it went through my head. I'm like, man, this thinks really bad. But I was trying to think of another time in our lifetime that something happened, something in history that literally everybody on the face of the globe united all at the same time, said, yeah, that's fucked up. 9/11 was the last time I remember that. So is this our new modern 9/11 moment?
Right. So I have
Casey
two
Anthony on
pictures in my
TikTok?
office. I have two pictures in my office to remind me of how much I hate people, some people. And I've got some that I love. Actually, I have three because I have, well, I won't talk about the third one, but because it was a gift. But these are ones that I put in my own office. So here we go. That's the one. So it's the first thing I see when I walk in is I see this picture of Casey Anthony. Does she look like somebody who didn't kill her child? Let me just start with that. Does this look like the face of somebody who did not kill their child? I rest my case, Your Honor. The second photo that I have in my office is to never forget that Bill Clinton's painting and George Bush's painting was found in the Epstein Island mansion, and he's wearing a dress of a minor, I believe. Is that the dress of a minor that they determined? I can't remember. This is sent to me by
Monica was of age.
No, I know, but I don't think this was Monica's dress, was it?
That's a blue dress, yeah. It probably
that was the Monica dress.
most
Because
like.
they found another picture of another girl wearing this exact dress on Epstein Island.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Look it up for us,
that
Josh.
part.
Look it up. Bill, what dress? Or maybe that was George Bush's dress. But see if you can find that. Since we're going to be talking about the Epstein list here in a minute. But yeah, Red Pill Threads. Go to redpillthreads.com. Use the promo code Duke. They've got tons of cool stuff on there. But they sent me this awesome canvas portrait rendition of Billy Clinton being in Epstein's mansion. So yeah, those are the two pictures that I have hanging in here that make me mad. While you're looking that up, I want to take a minute to thank Factor Meals. You guys are like, Eric, you're looking real thin. You're looking real lean and mean. And that's because meal planning to the next level, baby. Everything starts with a plan. You want to get shredded for the summer. Now's the time to start. Spring is right around the corner. Don't wait any more time. Head over to factor75.com. Use the code Wolfpack50. That's 50, Wolfpack50 for 50% off your first order. Go to factormeals.com. Use the promo code Wolfpack. We're talking about chef prepared, fresh, and never frozen meals delivered right to your door. Right to your door. And you can pop them in a microwave for 2 minutes or less sometimes. They stack easily. You can choose from hundreds of menu items from breakfast and lunch, lunch and dinner, lunch, breakfast and dinner, whatever it is to get you on the right track. You want to go protein heavy, you want to go calorie conscious, vegetarian, whatever it is, you can get your plan. And again, it's fresh and never frozen, delivered right to your door. Don't have to go to the grocery store. Don't have to waste your time buying things that you didn't want to buy. It's a great way to start a very simple and easy diet. Head over to factormeals.com. Use the promo code Wolfpack50 today. Did you find it for us there, Josh?
Yep. The artist was from Australia. She confirms that the blue dress is a reference to Monica Lewinsky's blue dress,
Okay.
a prominent piece of evidence in Clinton's affair with his former intern.
I know. I always wanted you to be right because yesterday I was messing up the Ukraine map. I said the Northeast, and it's because I feel like it's like I see things different in my brain. But what I really meant to say was like the far eastern side. But when you look at Russia and Ukraine where it butts up, I sometimes say like towards Russia. I don't always say up. So I made an Instagram video about when I went north to 2 hours north to go see where they filmed Hunger Games. And everybody was like, well, I have 400 comments of how stupid I am and how I don't know maps, even though I have very advanced land navigation skills. But yeah, sometimes I ADHD. Let me blame it on that. So anyway, let's go ahead and move off of Casey Anthony. By the way, guys, just to put a attack in the Casey Anthony thing, that was 100% an advertisement. Don't be fooled. There's nothing. She doesn't give a shit about Trump. She doesn't give a shit about the LGBTQ. She doesn't give a shit about anything but herself. And this was just to get her more money on Substack. She just wanted to not sound advertising. And I get that because I don't want to sound advertising.
Signal off. That was annoying the shit out of me.
You could hear it?
Yeah. The whole time she was talking, I was like, motherfucker.
I didn't hear that.
It was her four ways because she had a body in the back. She was getting ready to dump over the side. So she's like, I got to get this reel out real quick before I get rid of this body.
Or I popped the truck.
Allegedly.
Now, I will say that he did fact check the Bill Clinton one. But what was the Bush one? That maybe the Bush painting was the one with the dress that they found a picture of some girl at the thing wearing something. Listen, I never. That's why I have a fact checker that I pay a lot of money every month, like literally, to make sure that I'm not giving you guys like crazy misinformation. You know what I mean? Crazy misinformation.
Bush was with paper airplanes, and people were saying was because the airplanes and the two towers.
Okay, so he wasn't wearing a dress in that one. He was wearing a suit.
He's wearing a suit, and it's front of the desk with like two.
So just erase that whole thing from your repertoire. Like there was no dress. The dress was Monica Lewinsky reference. Gotcha.
Yeah. Casey Anthony is a piece of shit though.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, like you can't fact check me enough on that one. All right, so next up on this crazy crime docket here. I mean, not crime docket, political news docket that we have today. By the way, yesterday's show, if you really want the full breakdown on Ukraine, yesterday's show was very serious. It was very methodical and spelled out for you guys, and it was exactly how I feel about Ukraine. I'm not pro-Russia, not pro-Ukraine either. I think this whole thing is a plan by the globalist elites. I show you receipts on yesterday's episode that they want this war more than anything in the world because it's the perfect proxy war. They want to surround Russia. They want to snuff Russia out, and they're really leaving no opportunity or no chance for peace at all. And the minute that negotiations start and they look like they're being successful between Trump and Putin, immediately the UK steps in, the UN steps in. They say, hey, the war goes on. We're not going to allow this to be negotiated out. If you remember, 5 days into the conflict, Zelensky actually met with Putin and had a pretty fair deal. And the whole thing has been about not having an expansion of NATO forces. Rightfully so. Again, if we want to go back to our own history, the Monroe Doctrine, it's the same concept where we don't want West coming east to try to snuff us out or to surround us in any way, shape, or form. Same as Putin. He doesn't want to have missiles at his back door. This is why we didn't want the missiles in Cuba, the whole Bay of Pigs scenario. So again, this whole thing has been about the expansion of NATO. NATO wants to expand. They have nefarious reasons, not nefarious reasons, just that they have military and strategic reasons of why they want to do it. And I would say arguably that Putin has the right to defend their way of life as well. I also bring up in the episode yesterday is that where was the left's hate for terrorism that they have, the hate that they have for Russia? So like when you listen to anybody from the far left try to talk about Russia, it's just this dire hatred of Russia. And they don't say like not Russian people, they just always say Russia. But if you remember back in the late 90s, early 2000s, it was always like, we don't hate Muslims. We don't agree with terrorism, but what we're doing is wrong. Where is that same empathy and passion for Russia? So, and that's why my argument is that the left became the right. And that there is no such thing as right and left anymore. You have neocons and you have the Rhino right, and then you have the Trump party. What you guys take on that? Do you really feel like the Rhino right and the neocons are in control of that, and that the Trump party is pretty much anti-war, and that the left has gone completely pro-war?
I completely agree with that. The left doesn't want the war to end because the amount of money that they're making through this, and they all have their hands in something, and it's actually gross. And if you look at Lindsey Graham after the whole Zelensky-Trump blow up in the Oval Office, Lindsey Graham and Zelensky were tight, and then he just completely just said, "All right, so long, adios, bro."
Right.
I can't agree with you and whatever. And I don't want to speak for both of you, but I mean, the way that went down, I think it absolutely needed to. Was it appropriate? Should we have seen it? Probably not, but I'm glad we did, because it shows where Trump sits and Vance sit. They want it done, just as much as anybody else, but the Dems don't.
I'll go back and go ahead.
I just want to address Nijkin saying now your point really fast. Nijkin says, well, there is a fundamental difference in thinking. For Russia, they could offer something better than the EU, NATO, but instead they force their beliefs upon others. But I would argue that the Middle East does the same thing. I would argue Egypt does it. Saudi Arabia does the same thing. Iraq does the same thing. A lot of these countries do the same thing. And again, right or wrong, and I side with the left's views actually on the Iraq war. I was wrong, but that was a different left than we have now. And so if the left was doing the same thing that they did with the Iraq war, with the Russian-Ukraine war, we might have a more sensible and a more common sense way of handling and coming to a deal in Russia versus what we have right now, which is just full on the right way. Whereas the right was full warmonger for Iraq, even though we were bamboozled and we were lied to, the left was kind of keeping that in check. And, people like Julian Assange were bringing that stuff to light. And now the left doesn't have the Julian Assange bringing anything to light. Now the left has gone full warmonger. And I think that's what we're talking about here. Again, I'm not pro-Russia. I've been anti-Russia since Rocky 4 or 5, whatever one that he fought Khal Drogo. I'm not a big Ivan Drago. I'm not a fan of Russia in any way, shape, or form. But I'm also I want to know the truth about our involvement and Russia's involvement in Ukraine. I mean, I think it's interesting that we have biological, chemical warheads and missiles in Ukraine, that we were doing testing in Ukraine. I think it's very odd that they use some actor who acted as being a president and has no political experience whatsoever or business experience. He's literally like a little minor Hollywood actor that portrayed a president, and that there was a queue against I forgot the guy's name, Yakovic. What was his name? Whatever his name was. And, that was caught on tape by our, the Clinton SecDef, who was the SecDef under Dick Cheney. She also was in the Clinton administration as well. It's all of these things in its totality paint a very different picture on why Russia's coming. And then it makes us question the propaganda that we're being fed.
I'm go a little conspiracy theory, and we'll take a step back and try to crazily oversimplify all of this. Since World War II, when have we not been actively funding some sort of war? We've got the Korean War, we've got Vietnam, we've got the Cold War, which was all kinds of buildup.
Why are you stopping at World War II? You don't want to go back to World War I, Spanish War? You don't want to go?
Well,
we've never not been in war.
It's been 100 years.
Our own government hadn't assassinated a sitting president to make sure that this cabal of back-end government, to make sure that there's always a war.
You sure they didn't assassinate Lincoln for the cabal?
There's always a something that they have to have. So take Korea and replace it with Vietnam. Take Vietnam and replace it with the Cold War. Take the Cold War and replace it with we got to go to Saddam Hussein and all this stuff that's going on in Iraq and Kuwait. Now we have the last 20 years, and now that's coming away. As soon as that went away, look, it just magically overnight, Russia and Ukraine became this huge, huge thing that we've been talking about. Like, hey, we don't need to provoke this. We don't need to provoke this. And then all of a sudden, when the one war that you were funneling money through, money laundering, started to go away, you needed another one. And lo and behold, when all of the support for Ukraine went away, look what happened. We had October 7th. Another conflict that we're going to funnel aid and money through. And I guarantee if either one of those stopped tomorrow and we had a Democratic president, there would be someplace else in this globe that we would be funneling money for a war.
You're using the perfect term, funneling. It's exactly what they're doing.
Tell me that it's not.
Kosika Laughlin says Putin is manipulating little twat waffle. President Trump is just keeping friends close and enemies close. I do agree with that, but listen, what makes him a twat waffle and George Bush not? If you look at all the things that Putin is accused of doing in the Ukraine war, there's not one thing he's being accused of that George Bush didn't do 10 times worse. You're talking about, he bombed a hospital. Okay, well, we literally have video recording and audio recording of our troops bombing a wedding party. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the false pretenses of getting us into Iraq, weapons of mass destruction, the lies. And if you really want to go deep into it, let's talk about 9/11 being an inside job. Now, I'm not, there's no way that they didn't know. There's no way that Alex Jones said that bin Laden was going to blow up, that they had a plan for bin Laden or a guy like bin Laden, but he uses bin Laden by name year before the whole incident even happened, that they were going to bomb the World Trade Center. How is somebody like Alex Jones perfectly right on that and calls it, if it wasn't like we have independent journalism today where it's like we can almost make these like Tanstradamus predictions. We can kind of see the future if you're paying attention, and that's why I don't believe that Alex Jones is as crazy as people think he is. I also don't, he is crazy. Don't get me wrong, but a lot of things he says, these things can make you go crazy when you actually are red pilled and you can see all the things that our government does to get us in nefarious wars, and you don't look at it from a party perspective. You look at it objectively. Just like if you look at this Russian war, this Russian-Ukraine thing objectively, like if you were Putin, you would do the same thing to defend your country. I don't like snakes. Kosechia. If I say your name wrong, please don't think of it as disrespect. I'm just an uncultured fuck.
You'll be judged.
Doesn't know how to read.
You'll be judged all day.
I'm not. But I don't like snakes.
There's a book out.
Right. That's why I had to have a co-author. I don't like snakes. Okay, I don't go out and try to kill snakes. I don't like physically go out and look to kill snakes, but I don't like them, right? I don't like snakes at all. If my child came across a snake and then fucked with the snake, like maybe he poked at it with a stick, maybe he tried to kill the snake with a shovel, and the snake bit him, I would not blame the snake. I would blame my child. Why are you fucking with a snake? You know it's going to bite you. You know nothing good can come out of fucking with the snake. Now, if you see a snake, you know it's a poisonous snake and you want to kill the snake, I get it. But if the snake bites you, it's still your fault. The snake didn't come and find you and bite you. The snake wasn't crawling through the grass looking for Duke Tansey to fuck him up. Putin is, to me, a snake. I don't like him. I think they're gross, but I'm also not going to go fuck with it. I'm not going to go looking for it. And I feel like what we have done and what the UN has done and what NATO has tried to do, remember, back in the 90s, we made a deal with Russia. We said we would not move NATO 1 inch closer as long as you guys could make a deal with Germany and you guys could be, and there would be unification of Germany. We would not move 1 inch closer. And then 4 years later, we move over to Czech Republic, Hungary, and Romania. And then, shortly after that, we start bombing, shortly after that, we move into 7 different, Slovenia and all these, Serbia and all these other places. And then we actually use NATO to bomb Serbia right outside of Russia's back door. We're now putting missiles and bombs all over the place, all surrounding Russia. Like, it's only a matter of time before he's like, hey guys, come on, like, enough's enough. And then they start doing all the shit, the coup, overthrowing the government, meddling in Ukraine's elections. And then they start putting our own stuff over in Russia, right at in Ukraine, right outside Russia's back door. Like, at the end of the day, what's the snake supposed to do?
Well, and then our media, we have never, ever, ever once, not once, ever shown that something that the media has said has been 100% propaganda ad for something. We've never shown that before. We've never shown it that they can have a concentrated effort that, like, I don't know, yesterday there was 20 some Democrats that had almost the exact same verbatim edit and talking point. That's never happened before. Never has the media tried to get you to buy into something that wasn't true. Never. Yeah. Hands up, don't shoot. That's never happened before. Never, ever. Never. He had fentanyl in the system. Never.
Breonna
Never
Taylor was
once.
asleep in her bed.
She was
Murdered
asleep
by
in her
cops
bed.
on a
It's
no-knock warrant.
it's mostly peaceful. Never once. I could keep going. But now we're going to believe that, okay. And the other thing is the term and the word of 2024 and beginning of 2025, gaslighting. If you question that, you're a Russian sympathizer. No. I don't want to spend my US dollars on foreign land. And if I want to question that, I'm not sympathizing with either side. I'm just asking, if my money is going over there, what's the return on investment? Why do we have any stake in this game? We're funding these biolabs. That's why we have stake in the game, and we're part of NATO, and that's why we have stake in the game, and we keep moving these bases closer to them, and now we're going to have to defend our actions. That's why we have stake in the game. Never. They've never propaganda, never once.
I think and another huge point is I don't want American boots on the ground over there. There is no reason for us to send our soldiers, our troops over there. People are going to die, willy nilly. I mean, it's just a dumb decision. And, with what Zelensky was doing and what he's trying to do, he wants into NATO. He wants that guarantee. Well, guess what, bro? It ain't fucking happening.
Zelensky doesn't want anything. Zelensky's he doesn't even know what he wants or he's an actor. He's a paid actor. He's literally just being told
I don't know
what
if
to think and what to say.
It's not good. I don't know if you've seen it.
No, it's not. That's why they pick him. This dude is nothing but a puppet that they are using. This guy doesn't know anything about politics. I probably know more about Ukraine than he does. Again, going back to the whole snake analogy, leave it alone. Like, let the snake be in the woods. Just leave it alone. Stop fucking with it. But again, we can't because, and I love that there's this whole Russia phobia thing that they say was put out by Russia. By the way, Jeffrey Sachs has been using Russia phobia in regards to teaching about British history about Russia. And I think there's no doubt that that since the Ottoman Empire, the Brits and the UK has had Russian phobia. And there's lots of propaganda that's been put out against Russian propaganda. But again, nobody's perfect, and if we want to go back to Canada, because there was a lot of talk about Canada in the live chats here, the first Canadian soldiers that were killed in Afghanistan were actually killed by American forces. They were on a foot patrol. American forces couldn't identify them, and they were blown up in a gun run, I believe. I went to their memorial on a Canadian post, and matter of fact, some Canadian talked shit about me because I walked by the memorial and I didn't stop, but I didn't even know it was a memorial. It's not like there was a bunch of signs that say like memorial. It was just like an open field, and I was on my way to the chow hall, but they were really upset that I didn't take a moment, and I apologized, and I said, listen, if I would have known that was a memorial, I would have taken my hat off. I would have, whatever it is that is appropriate for you guys, but you can't expect me to come onto your base, never being on your base before, and given directions to a chow hall, and I'm trying to like basically find a chow hall. I'm not looking, that's where my scope is like my attention is where's the food. Like I'm not looking at anything else on your base. Had I known, I would have apologized. But think about that. Like think about the propaganda that we'd put out if Russia kills North Koreans on accident. It'd be like, oh, they're so fucking stupid that they killed their own allies. They killed the North. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that we do see. Right, we do see these kinds of things coming out of the propaganda, like, oh, they're so disorganized. The Russians are disorganized. They're doing this and that. Like, literally everything that they put out that Russia or that Putin has done, we have done the exact same. Like, we literally blew the first Canadians killed in combat since Vietnam. Americans killed them. So
April 17th, 2002, it was the Tarnak Farm incident. The death occurred when an American pilot mistakenly dropped a bomb on Canadian soldiers during a training exercise.
In Afghanistan, correct?
In Afghanistan.
Which province did it happen in? Was it Jalalabad?
I
believe
Kandahar.
Okay.
8 other soldiers were injured in the incident. The deaths were the first Canadian
and I
combat
love that they say that
fatality.
it was in a training operation. Bullshit. We weren't practicing dropping bombs anywhere in Afghanistan. FYI, in 2002, maybe like the war wasn't official yet, so they didn't have an official capacity, but that's a bold-faced fucking lie. There you go. There's some propaganda for you right there. Like, because they didn't want the Canadians to be involved. I got in this is a funny story. We're coming towards the end of the show, and we do have a lot of Canadians that listen to this, which is very funny, but we got in one of the craziest nights of my life, and I'm just now remembering this. But we were on a recon operation, and we were in Taliban country, and we saw a sniper moving on a hillside, like full ghillie suited sniper. And we're like, why is there a sniper up there? And why can we see them? And the only reason we could see them was because we had night vision goggles, right? So we're wearing these night vision goggles, and we're seeing this thing creep on this mountainside, and we're like, holy shit. And then all of a sudden, it's light using an IR light, which you can only see in night vision goggles, to light up our location, which we're probably 800 meters away. It's pretty far. And they're trying to light us up with these IRs. And so we're like, fuck. So we've got an airplane in the air. We got it ready to go. We're going to bomb the fuck out of whoever this is. And so we're like, dude, this is weird. They have IR. There's no way that the Taliban won. Like, we're not even supposed to, like, we're there to see if the Taliban is there. Like, if the Taliban is there with night vision capabilities and IR, then they're like, they have been there for a hot minute and there's way more intel that we didn't get. So, like, using common sense, we were like, this is probably, so we're trying to get on with all the United States comms. Now we're like digging in because we know it's a sniper. So we're like hunkering down, like talking like this, not exposing anything. And we ask, like, are there Americans? And we're like, no, we have no other American patrols out there. And we're like, hang on, dude. Like, is there any other ISAF forces, International Security Assistance Forces? Like, they're like, no, we don't have anything out there. And we're like, this is crazy. Here's what we're going to do. One of us, I forgot which guy was on our squad. It wasn't me. Crawled all the way to the Humvee that we had hidden. And we were going to just bring the Humvee around with all of its lights on. Like, that's obvious that we're American. It's armored. And if it shoots at that truck, then we're all going to light it up. But we're all going to move back to the truck. And we're going to get in the truck. So we get into the truck. But meanwhile, I had, like, because I was the last person to see the guy in the ghillie suit. And I had a very good idea where he's at. And so I was lacing him with an IR laser as well. So he could probably see my beam face him, but that was for an aircraft. So in the event that and he was, maybe he moved, maybe he didn't. I don't know. If I were him, I'd be like, what the fuck? I'm out, because like that probably means something. But anyway, it was a very intense. So we get in the Humvee and we move around the mountainsides and out on the road. When we finally get off these dusty trails out onto a main road, there is like 6 Canadian armored vehicles. And we jump out, and we talk to them, and they're like, is that your guys? And they're like, we were wanting to know who you guys were. And they're like, is it y'all? Was that your guys out there? And we're like, yeah, that was me. That was us. And they were like, okay, well, that was us up there. And we were like, Jesus Christ, man. He's like, dude, man, I saw you guys like crawling through there. I was like, I had you in my scopes. And then I saw you guys had night vision. I was like, I saw that you had night vision. And he was like, we just, but that's the crazy shit. But like, nobody knew that the Canadians were there. Like, we asked, are there any ISAF forces out here? They're like, no, there's not. And it's like, who gave them permission? So I guarantee you, I say all that to say that I guarantee you this bombing that happened in 2002 was something just as stupid and crazy as that. But Corn Pop says that's wild as hell. Yeah, that was a crazy night. That's not the first thing that's not the first time that happened. That's not the first time that happened. I actually had the same exact scenario with with an Afghan unit that was moving through a cave. We were clearing a cave. It was very scary. We were all very, very scared. Like, I don't like being in a cave, period. And now I'm deep into this massive cave. It wasn't really a claustrophobic thing because like the walls were like 17 feet high. But this, it had subtunnels and it was pitch black dark, and you can't use night vision goggles in there because there's no illumination. So you're using flashlights. So, if somebody's in the dark, they can see your light way before you can see them. So it was very scary. Come to find out that an Afghan troop was in the same cave, clearing the same cave at the same time. And so they come knick-knacking out of one of the tunnels, and we're there, and we're all yelling at each other. Their lights are at us. Our lights are at them. We're all screaming and yelling in different languages because nobody was supposed to be in there. Thank God nobody got killed or hurt. But, that stuff does happen, and it's pretty sad. So Koseka says, I love how cool and down-to-earth you guys are. So normal. It's great. Well, I appreciate that. And again, Koseka, if you'll put in the comments right now, just kind of show me how to pronounce your name, like misspell it in a way that I can pronounce it. So is it Kosechia? Is it Koseka? Give us some insight into what you are. I don't know if
find
this
a
is
comment.
American.
She did reply
Coco.
to you. Coco earlier. She said just call you Coco.
I'm guessing this is a female, right?
I think so.
But I thought Mer 530 was a female for like years. And I found out it was a dude, and I felt like I was catfished.
Jay's nickname could be Coco. I don't know. Jay's alter ego.
David J says Eric doesn't like caves because of the Appalachian Mountain caves. I don't really have a problem with the Appalachian Mountain caves. We had a place very close to the Linville Caverns, just a couple of miles away. But it's the Kentucky caves that I don't like.
Mammoth caves.
Yeah, do they say that thing could go all the way down to? They say that's like not even a quarter of it. It's been explored. That fucking cave could go all the way down to like New Mexico.
It's enormous.
That place is awesome. It
is awesome, but it's terrifying as well.
Yes.
It's like you don't understand. Like, take being inside of a sports arena. Now take the entire sports arena and put it under the earth.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but
and
like
replicate that over and over again.
right, and then like put like a subway station in between each one.
Yeah,
It's just
it's
massive.
and then it's all the airflow and the water and the temperature. It's all the same temperature. We went down right before we moved out to Colorado, so that's why I remember the Mammoth.
It's like literally like maybe an hour and a half away from me.
Yeah.
So been there.
Well, here we
been there
go.
many times.
Loren, we got to meet Loren at one of our meetups, one of our very first meetups, actually. And I was surprised because I always thought Loren was like an 18-year-old kid. He was like a fucking 30-year-old dude with a big giant beard. Again, it's always funny when I meet you guys at meetups, like one in Orlando or the meetup that we had in Jacksonville, the meetup that we had in Raleigh, North Carolina. It was like, it's always fun to like, and I one of the things that's always cracked me up the most, and I'll get out of here, but what is at one of our meetups where the people will say, "Hey, Eric, I'm John Edwards." And I'm like, cool. And then I'll hang out with John Edwards all night. We'll smoke some cigars and blah, blah, blah. And then I'll bring up something and it'll be like, oh, yeah. And they'll bring up like some kind of inside joke. And I'll be like, how did you know that inside joke, John? They're like, because I'm in your live chats. And I'm like, and he's like, my name's Loren in the live chats. And you're like, why wouldn't you start the conversation off with my name is Loren in the chats? Like this whole time, I just think you're some guy, but like, I know you. I've seen you in my live chats. I always think that's super funny, especially when we fail to stop our bigger show. I knew everyone by their screen name, so that's really funny. Listen, guys, last but not least, before I get out of here, pre-orders for Pig Latin, A Seriously Funny True Story. The hard copy comes out August 26th, published by Simon & Schuster. It is the craziest, funniest book. Listen, we are on the precipice of great things with this book. I need the pre-orders because I really want to get my marketing bonus. So that's why if you're going to buy the book, please buy it now. Head over to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, and just get on the pre-order. If you get on the pre-order and you DM me, I will send you a bookmarker, this one. So if you order the book, you will get this bookmark designed and drawn and sketched out by John Bates, one of our producers and hosts of the sports show that we do here on Fox with Jason. You will get this right here. You will get this bookmark of me tasing a girl in the vagina. If you purchase my book and you send me a DM, I will sign this bookmark and put it in the mail for you. It's very personal. All you have to do is go DM me or email me at tansey, TANSEY, .eric@gmail.com. And I will send you this. If you get a friend to buy the book, you can screenshot, or your friend screenshots and says, hey, Loren put me onto this book and I too bought it. That friend will get this bookmarker, but you will get a second bookmarker. You will get Red, my partner, or one of my partners from the book. If you sell it to a third friend, you will get Thor shooting a guy bookmark. And then if you get me a follower on this podcast or leave a 5-star rating and review, 5-star rating review on Failure to Stop or Fox, I'd like you to do both. Or you subscribe to my Instagram and you tag somebody on my Instagram. I'll give you directions, by the way. Then you will get the fourth, which is Bruno, and you will have collected all 4 of these very special drawn out illustration bookmarks from John Bates. Just a little bit of fun, but I really want to sell as many of these books as I can in the pre-orders. I want to make the New York Times bestseller, but too, so I can get my marketing bonus from Simon Schuster for doing all the heavy lifting before the marketing campaign starts somewhere in June or July.
I don't want to misspeak, Eric.
Yep.
And jump over
the
book stuff, but I know you and I have chatted, but Bosco posted in the chats a little bit earlier, when's the next meetup? And I know you and I are potentially talking about something. So I don't know if that's
we have one coming up in Cincinnati. The problem is the marketing team from Simon Schuster, I have a book tour. It's like a 90-day book tour. So I'm supposed to be all over the place. I don't know how much freedom I have in that book tour. I know that they gave me a map and I'm trying to pick out everything close there. But I'll probably know more in June or July. And again, I'm supposed to have a meeting this month, but I don't know if they're going to bring this up or not in the meeting, because I think this meeting that I have this month is more geared towards ARC readers and reviewers that have already read the book. So I'm not really exactly sure, but I'm going to ask. But as soon as I can confirm, I would like to be there. The week after your wedding, or was it the month after your wedding that we talked about?
a month before, but
the month before the wedding.
We're talking roughly in August.
Right. But we are doing, no matter what, I am doing a meetup in Cincinnati, Ohio. this summer or fall. I'm just not correct. So the next meetup that I do will be in Cincinnati, Ohio. God, I fucking hate Ohio almost as much as I hate Michigan, but I'm going to do it. Like, I wish we could do like a meetup in like fucking California or something cool, but
Ew, gross.
Cincinnati is where it's going to be. So you can go ahead and put on your calendar Cincinnati, and I promise you I'll give you about 90 days. So I'll give you guys some heads up as soon as I find out. I just need to talk to that. And then, I would like to do another meetup this year as well. But I think there's going to be a lot of meetups because of the book tour. And I'm going to be out west a lot for the book tour because I know we have like 6 spots in Texas, California, Oregon, and stuff like that. So each one of those places, I'm going to try to do a meetup while I'm there. Why not? Right. And it won't be something that like you guys would like fly into. I just want to meet the fans that we have in that local spot. But if we have like a really cool spot, like if I end up landing San Diego, yeah, let's make a big one out of that. And we'll try to fly out Jason and John and stuff like that. I just have to wait for this marketing campaign. All right, guys, if you're not on the Patreon,
book tour in the same as a synonymous. So I didn't mean to put you on the spot there.
No, I liked it. No, it needs to happen. Our fans like it. If you want more personal stuff, then follow us on Patreon. It's less than a cup of coffee a month. It supports the show. There is content being put out there now and more, but I'm not trying to sell you on it. If you want to support the show, this goes to help pay Josh and John and Jason and everything like that. But I am getting more serious about it because through this book deal, I have become even closer friends with you guys. You guys know on the email list, we guys have been emailing back and forth. I've got guys that are having kids. I've got people that want me to come to their weddings. I got people that, not just you. I got another fan that wants me to come to their wedding. I'm actually the marrying you guys. I don't know if you know that or not, but I've been
Joe Billy 007 didn't tell me that.
You'd be destined to be divorced in days.
And we'll do a podcast from the wedding party table later on at the reception.
I'll make it all about me. Oh, I get prima nocte too, by the way. Prima nocte. I get the first night with your wife. So that ways that we can keep the bloodline pure.
That's right. That's how we roll.
I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, I've just, all the friends, and there's another guy starting jiu-jitsu out of Brunswick. And again, before I leave, if you DM me, please do not start with an apology, and please do not start with, you're probably not going to respond to this. I mean, it might take me a hot second. I have 1,374 missed text messages. And currently right now, I have 31 missed Instagram messages alone. And I don't know how many Facebook messages that I have missed. But I get to them every single day. Like I section off big portions of my day just to respond to you guys. And there's no need to apologize. So why become a social media person and try to make social media friends if you're not going to actually be friends with them? That makes no sense to me. Mm-hmm. So for right now, like, I love all of you guys, you know that, and we've been all friends for like 4 years now. And that's why I do meetups. That's why I love you guys. I'm not trying to do the Casey Anthony thing to mislead you into thinking that I care about you. No, I genuinely have proven over time for free that I care about you, even though people have tried to get me to charge for the YouTubes and stuff like that when I was working on networks and stuff like that. When I came off on my own, I did things my way. I got away from all that shit because I think it's, but I do like to have the money. So I do appreciate all the money. And of course our team appreciates getting paid. So keep doing it. But we'll be on Failure to Stop this Friday. That's our big show, Failure to Stop. So head over to the Failure to Stop podcast and follow that for the big case breakdown. Of course, for you guys that are new in the chats, that is where we got our start here. We are a branch of the Failure to Stop Podcast Network. So we will be breaking down a big giant case, or I will be breaking down a big giant case on Failure to Stop this Friday, 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll see you guys there. Like G.I. Joe says, maybe you didn't know about the internet versus Casey Anthony, but now you do know, and knowing is half the battle. Good day. Take us out, John.